of Lingard, the likes of Martial, picking up things which will support their performances.
Yeah, there are a lot of issues about whether or not the players were actually fit. I don't know if that's, you know, people talking about the fact Jose Mourinho didn't actually prepare these players enough. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, Solskjaer got a lift from these players initially because they didn't know if he'd be the permanent manager. So they performed every single week. Now, once he's been named permanent manager, I think performance levels have dipped from a lot of the players. And what's so interesting was after the City game, Solskjaer talked about the fact that when the next season comes around, he wants the right characters. That was the phrase, he's the right characters in his dressing room. And I think he's quickly realised the players that are not good enough. Or not putting in the shift for United, and I think he's already started to pinpoint the players that he needs to replace.
So Ian mentions Phil Jones and Ashley Young, who, because the years passed for us all, are maybe not at the right standard anymore. Who do you think he's talking about in terms of character then?
I think he might be talking about someone like Paul Pogba, but the thing is, Martial, yeah, definitely. But I think the thing with Paul Pogba is he represents too much financially to the club to just be able to let him go. You could get a lot of money for him, but they make so much money off having a player like him that it wouldn't make financial sense for the club's board and Ed Woodward to sell him just like that. So there's quite a few people in that team, but I think the whole back line. They need new fullbacks, they need new central defenders as well. There's a lot of rehaul that's needed in that squad.
They need a lot of rebuilding, Man United.
And up front, I mean, they've spent a fortune, and they've got some amazing players, particularly in terms of goal scoring, and yet they don't score any goals. I think McTominay was the only player to score anything that wasn't a penalty in the month of April.
Yeah, and you know, and even with Romelu Lukaku, you know, he does score his goals, but he misses his fair amount. He gets a lot of stick from the Man United fans, and a lot of fans, to be honest. I know he's trying his hardest, but it just... I was speaking to one of my Man United friends the other day, and he was saying he just doesn't think it fits. It doesn't feel...
Lukaku?
Yeah, it doesn't fit, and he wants Rashford to play down the middle. Now, we're hearing noises about Lukaku maybe moving on. You'd have to say that the way he's been treated there in respect of the new manager, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it doesn't seem to me like he fancies him as his main man. So you look at that in the summer and think that could be something that could happen. Maybe Lukaku moving on, so then they could free up some more monies to maybe bring in the kind of reinforcements that they need in areas. Like, for me, they need to shore up the contract of David De Gea and get some centre-halves. Is it going to be Koulibaly? I'm not sure. But they do need to start making moves.
OK. Well, next season then, with a proper summer of transfer activities and a proper pre-season to prepare the team for the kind of football he likes to play, Solskjaer could have a much greater chance of success. Right now, though, he's got at least a massive opportunity to break back into top four, realistic top four contention with this game against Chelsea on Sunday. You can see there the way it stands, 3 points off. I mean, there's a couple of teams between them and the likes of... Well, there's Arsenal between them and Chelsea, just the one. But 3 points, and none of these teams, you have to say, are really lighting up the form guide.
No, they're not. And I think the thing is, this is really the battle for fourth, this game. If United win, you know, they're level on points with Chelsea. Arsenal has still got Leicester away, haven't they? So, given Arsenal's away form, you know, it's still there for the taking, remarkably, considering, you know, United's 7 losses in 9 games in all competitions. It's still there for Chelsea, United or Arsenal to get.
All right. Big game for both sides. And let's hear from the Chelsea manager that his side aren't in the best of form either. But let's hear now from Maurizio Sarri.
The match. And so we will try to win, of course, but we need not to lose. It's a very difficult match for both, I think. We have to play against opponents with a very high level of motivation after the Manchester derby, I think. And so a very difficult match. But we have to try. We have 2 very important targets in the end of our season. The first is the top 4. The second, at the moment, is to get the final in Europa League. And for the first target, this match is more than important for us, of course, and also for the opponents. They did very well for 3 months, and probably in the last period they paid something. I think that can happen, but I think that for us on Sunday will be really a very difficult match, because they lost at the derby, and so the level of motivation will be for sure very, very high. In the last two matches, we had the problems with the defensive phase, not with the defensive line, because we conceded 2 goals on set pieces in the last match, and so was involved all the team, and not only the 4 defenders. And against Slavia, we conceded 2 goals with a shoot from 20-25 meters to the goal, and so was involved also the midfielders. I think that we need to defend with more intensity, first of all, with more aggressivity sometimes, and we need to improve in the defensive phase with all the team. I think that Eden deserves to be in the top 11 of the Premier League. But I think also that at the moment the table is clear. There is City, there is Liverpool, and then the other teams. And so I think that the vote was influenced by the table.
Beginning to get an idea. If that's how he speaks to the team at half-time, that's maybe why.
Find something for Sunday, because that has been a problem for them on the road. It's just this marked difference in mentality and performance between the first and second half. It's quite bizarre, really.
You know, you say that though, James, and you say it in joke, but I've never seen him in any other guys than that. It can be quite draining.
Right.
You know.
So managers that you had, you've had plenty.
Yeah.
Who was the one who was most inspiring? And did it make a difference when they really kind of spoke up and gave it the blood and thunder?
George Graham was quite inspiring, but he was quite. There was the authority that he carried.
Right. Scottish accent.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just like the old headmaster, you was frightened of him, and you got yourself going. Arsene Wenger was very philosophical and gave you beautiful words of wisdom to get you going. But like, just looking at him and the way his body language has been and the way his demeanour is, he just looks like somebody that if I was in the dressing room, you're just like that. You're literally like that.
Well, he's been tremendously successful, coming from a very unusual background.
Come from a different culture.
Footballing background. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Place,
This trip, though, to Manchester, last time they went to that fair city, what happened? They lost 6-0.
Yes.
That was at City. But on the road, as you mentioned for Shadi, they've been rotten. In their last 7 games away in the Premier League, they've only had 2 wins. That was against Fulham and Cardiff. And they've conceded 19 goals.
Yeah, and I think what they'll do on Sunday, they'll probably be told to sit back a little bit deeper and just basically try and get a goal on the counter, possibly. A lot of pressure would place on Hazard's shoulders, unfortunately for him. He's been asked, I mean, he is obviously a great enough player to be able to take on that responsibility, but I just feel sometimes it's an unfair responsibility given the fact that the strikers don't score enough goals and the other wingers aren't scoring enough goals as well. But Hazard is someone who can, you know, he can have those moments, he can score those goals. So he will be a danger man clearly for United to have to stop on Sunday.
OK. It is a downgraded Chelsea side maybe that Sarri's working with compared to the one that was there last year, and I think that the talent up front is maybe the best example of this. When we have a look at the comparison between the strike rate under Giroud, well, with Giroud and when Morata was there, Higuain, the numbers suggest, is not actually doing that badly. The only thing is those goals, 4 of them, 2 were against Huddersfield, 1 on Monday against Burnley, the other one was against Fulham, so it's not in the big games.
Well, it's not in the big games, and when you do watch him, and, you know, a lot of people saying he looks a little bit out of shape, doesn't look sharp. Some of the times, you know, you can see the movement in the box.
Well, this is the moment when he gets taken off about 70 minutes into the Burnley game.
He wasn't happy.
He doesn't look happy.
He was not happy at all, because he chucked his bib after this, and then he chucked his water bottle, as we're about to see in a minute. And everyone could see it. He was visibly angry. I kind of understood it from one point of view, because he actually had his best game against Burnley, I think, since joining Chelsea on loan. Yeah, he just looked much sharper, making good runs compared to some of those previous games.
The thing about it is that he's probably been taken off for the previous games in respect of not seeing enough. Now, he's doing it against Burnley, which is brilliant for him, and he's getting it going. But for him to be acting in that manner for what I've seen him up to this point and what Chelsea got him for, he's not done nowhere near enough.
Yeah.
Do you think, watching him, because he does get into good positions, he does have chances, do you think that maybe for a player who's arrived midway through the season, he needs a little bit more time and then it could just click?
I think that when you look at his capabilities in the box and we see great movement and sharp movement in the box, it's outside the box where he doesn't really do too much for me, which at the end of the day, they've got people who could do that. And he just needs to be a bit sharper for me in there.
Right.
That's for me, that's all I'd see from him. But in the main, his tenure up to this point, it's not very impressive for me.
No, indeed not. The Callum Hudson-Odoi injury, which is the other blow that Chelsea suffered on Monday, Achilles heel, which typically you're looking at maybe 7 months out. Now, he wasn't a regular starter by any means under Maurizio Sarri. How big a blow is this for him and for the club?
Oh, it's a huge blow for him personally. I mean, I think that was his 4th straight start, I think, at Chelsea. He'll miss the start of next season as well, which is a huge blow for him. He's forced his way into this team thanks to the fact that he handed a transfer request to move to Bayern Munich, and the fact that Sarri was being pressurised by the fans who kept singing his name, but also I think from the higher-ups at the club, saying this is our academy product. You cannot just allow him to want to move away when he's clearly one for the future, because Willian and Pedro, they're going to be, well, they've only got 1 year left on their contract. Hazard will probably go. I know they've got Pulisic coming in, but if you let Hudson-Odoi go, he's the winger who is going to be there potentially for the next 10 years if you kept him. So it's a huge blow for him. A huge blow for Chelsea as well, because, I mean, they've got Willian, they've got Pedro who will be fit, but Hudson-Odoi offers something a little bit different, particularly if he comes on as a sub. So he's going to be a blow.
And he's not a player, as I understand, they'll be able to replace because the transfer ban is going to be kicking in.
If that kicks in as well, and you know, I feel for him because at his age, you're hoping that he will be able to come back from this injury. But it's a nasty injury, that one, because it's one that the rehab has to be absolutely first class and perfect, which I'm supposed he'll get, but then it's up to him what he puts in it, because the blood doesn't flow in that area like it does in other places. And we're talking about an explosive player. So when he comes back, the mental side of getting over an injury like that, because he's going to have to trust himself to be explosive again, because when we saw the injury happen, he's getting the ball and he's getting ready to explode, and that's when it went, and he's got to get over all that once he comes back, with the pressure of being an England international and playing for Chelsea, and the pressure that's going to come with that. And you're just hoping that he can get over all that, because it's a long journey he's got right now.
And potentially further interest from Bayern Munich, because the president's come out and he's talked about, again, it's not the right time to talk about wanting to sign Hudson-Odoi again because he's just been injured, but actually we're still interested. So they're still sniffing around.
That'd be good news for him.
Right. Not necessarily for Chelsea. Problems for both teams then. We'll hear Ian's prediction later on, but the good news is that Man United Chelsea is just one of the many exciting fixtures. So much riding on pretty much every game this weekend in the Premier League. We'll be turning our thoughts to the title race in the next part of Premier League today, and Liverpool Huddersfield. It is tonight's clash at Anfield. Tension, drama.